defender into a save down to his left. Big save there. Joseph Martinez from 25 yards on, tries the curl. Negri trying to flick it through, and it comes to the back post, and it's a debut goal for Serhii Krivtsov. Hits it off the post. Borgelin saved off the left. Borgelin again has scored. Gives Miami the comfortable lead.
And welcome in to the Inter Miami show. Of course, a crazy couple of weeks for Inter Miami off the field, but we'll be focusing on the work that Inter Miami are doing on the field as they get back to work against Philadelphia Union on Saturday night. As we welcome you in to the Inter Miami show, Chris Whittingham alongside Kieran Gibbs. We'll be talking about Inter Miami players away on international duty, as well as the work that the club are doing with Florida Blue. But right now, Inter Miami, of course, in the Open Cup semifinal, and we haven't had the chance to talk about that game in full as they went to Birmingham Legion away from home and managed to get a result, get the win, and now Miami are into an Open Cup semifinal. They'll travel to take on FC Cincinnati on August 23rd. We're here at DRV PNK Stadium, of course, as we are each and every week during our Inter Miami show. The Gold Cup preliminaries are going on that pitch behind us, like 3 games a day here. It's been a crazy period for the club, Kieran.
It has. There's a lot of moving parts at the moment, but definitely the bright spark of the season so far is the US Open Cup. It'll be great if the boys can get to their first final. I mean, they don't have to think about it too much at the moment because the game isn't, for another couple of months, so they can focus on the league because I'm sure that they'll want to, climb up the table as well. But a great achievement to reach a semi-final, and I'm really excited for the game.
Let's take a look at the highlights then from the game against Birmingham Legion as Miami traveled to Alabama to take on this side in the Open Cup. As the USL team was a big game for them as well, a chance to get to an Open Cup semifinal for a USL team. But in the 56th minute, Serhii Krivtsov playing it out to this right side. Taylor down the line for Coco Jean. More on him in a minute. But Joseph Martinez, the attempted scorpion kick, but it's finished on the back end by Nico Stefanelli.
Yeah, I mean, I like the build-up play. I've been saying it a few times. I feel like they've moved the ball slowly recently, but, they switched the play really well and they pulled their back four apart. And it's a great little cross, and Stefanelli gets enough to put it in the back of the net.
And Nico Stefanelli getting the goal in the Open Cup yet again. And after a lengthy stoppage time period, Miami would get over the line and beat Birmingham Legion to get to the Open Cup semifinal. Again, it's FC Cincinnati in the semifinal, but it's not for a couple of months. So the team and the whole situation around the team will probably look significantly different between now and then. But we mentioned Coco Jean in the build-up to that goal. And Kieran, unfortunately, Inter Miami losing him for the remainder of this season after he picked up an injury against New England Revolution, the last league match, a game that Miami suffered defeat in. But Coco Jean and his injury, what does that mean for the club in terms of you're losing a key piece?
Well, it's something that we haven't, touched on too much in terms of the boys being injured this season, because it's part of the game and every team has to go through it and you have to deal with it. I have to say, though, I feel like the extent of the injuries and the amount of injuries that the club has, it's been tough on the boys. It's been tough on the boys, and it's going to affect any team that happens to. So I think with you have Gregore out for the season, you have Motta, you have a lot of significant injuries, and the boys have done well not to make any excuses. They've just gotten on with it. And I feel like with Jean as well, it's disappointing for him because he's just come back from a pretty long layoff, and this is gonna set him back again. I know he's got a really strong mentality though, so I feel like if anyone's gonna come through it, it's gonna be him. But it's disappointing, and he's been good for the club when he's played. He's a really hard worker. He's tenacious. He brought a lot of energy to the team, so yeah, he'll be a big miss. Yeah, and on the injury front, Gregory and John Monta, of course, the hopes are that they'll be back before the end of this regular season. But Rodolfo Pizarro coming back from injury as well. It's really been in that midfield where they've lost so many numbers, and obviously David Ruiz has done well to step up, and Ian Frey has played in the center of the park as well. We'll talk about some of those academy kids in just a moment. But the injury for Coco Jean does happen on the artificial surface, and that has been a topic of conversation around Inter Miami and around Major League Soccer on the whole. When it comes to Corentin Jean having that injury on the Gillette Stadium artificial pitch, what does that make you think in terms of playing on those surfaces? What was it like for you when you moved from
England, where every stadium you ever play in was a grass surface, to going on the artificial stuff. Is there a big difference for you?
There is a big difference, yeah, there's a big difference. I mean, every player is different. I don't think I've met many players that are a fan of turf. I'm going to be honest, I'm one of them. I think it's just too much of an adjustment. I feel like when you're a player and you cross the white line, there's already enough to think about in terms of the game itself, and wanting to be able to compete at the highest level. And you just don't want anything in the back of your mind. And when you hear stories like that, it's always going to play a part on you mentally. And you just don't have time to think about any of those things when you're trying to perform at the highest level. So I feel like it's something that needs to probably be addressed, because we don't want to see injuries like that. And, we feel for Corentin Jean for that. And it's something that, if it doesn't change, we're going to see again. So, but, there's players that don't mind playing on there, and so it's a debate that needs to be handled by the MLS.
Yeah, and obviously there are a couple teams in the East, Atlanta, New England, and Charlotte, that play in the artificial surfaces, and that obviously has been a talking point in recent times. But the players that have stepped up in the intervening period have largely come from the Inter Miami Academy. The last game for Inter Miami, they saw 4 players from the start. Edison Ascona has also come on from the bench, and also a few MLS Next Pro players have been loaned up to the full side. And you look at the last game, Kieran, for Inter Miami against New England, it was Noah Allen, David Ruiz, Benhad Kramaski, Ian Frey, all in from the start. Edison Ascona came on late as well. It's remarkable how much the Academy kids have filled in during this period.
Yeah, and this is something that we have spoken about quite a lot this season. The development of the youth and the Academy players coming through, and it's another milestone for the club. 4 players playing from the Academy. That's remarkable, and it's another great story, not only for Miami and for the club and the city, but also US football in general. So yeah, long may it continue.
Yeah, 4 players in from the start, and the remarkable thing is that they've all looked up to the challenge during this period as well in terms of being able to deliver performances for Inter Miami. Now, one of the other things that's been remarkable is the sheer number of players that have gone on international duty during this last week. It's 10 in total, so much so I can't remember them off the top of my head. We got to show this very great graphic that our team put together here. So Leo Campana away with Ecuador, a couple U.S. internationals, Drake Callender part of the side that lifted the Nations League trophy in Las Vegas, along with DeAndre Yedlin, Robert Taylor with Finland, Krivtsov with Ukraine, Joseph Martinez with Venezuela, Edison Ascona with the Dominican Republic, Schneider Borgelin with Haiti. Kamal Miller started that Nations League final for Canada against the U.S., and Modesto Mendez with Cuba. It's remarkable the number of players that are playing with their international sides. How does that sort of go in terms of going from you're in a difficult period with your club, you go away on international duty? What's sort of the mindset for a player?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I mean, for the club, particularly, when you have a lot of players going away on international duty and things aren't going so well in their domestic league, sometimes it can really help turn their form, because representing your country, any country, is such a proud moment and should bring you a lot of pride and confidence. So there's the fact that there's so many of them, is nearly half the squad. You hope that they'll go away and it's a change of environment for them. They can get away from their domestic mindset and switch it to their national team, and then hopefully they bring that energy back into club form, which I hope we see, because there's a lot of good players here representing their countries, and we want to see them perform for both club and country.
And obviously so many players going away. It's really cool to see for Inter Miami, and those players in particular. Want to showcase a little bit of the work that Inter Miami have done in the community in recent times. As the club partnered with Florida Blue to hold an equipment drive here at Drive Pink Stadium, and ultimately that equipment's got to go somewhere. Let's show you where it went.
So this is the 3rd equipment drive that we've done. The 3rd annual equipment drive. It's the first year that we've done it with Florida Blue. Inter Miami CF has always been really passionate about these programs, and we're so fortunate to have a partner that's also very passionate about the community. So together we've been able to elevate our annual equipment drive and bring very essential soccer equipment to a place like Little Haiti FC.
es súper importante para ellos jugar con nuevas pelotas, tener indumentaria nueva, una ayuda de parte del club de Inter de Miami que realmente a los chicos les es importante.
Well, you know, Little Haiti FC is kind of like a hidden jewel in the community and not that many people know about it. It's the only free youth soccer program in the whole state of Florida. As a result, we have hardly any revenue.
What this means to us as a community is that, you know, Florida Blue stands with its mission, right, to help people in communities achieve better health. And it's not just the aspect of the health, but it's everything socially.
Thank you so much. And Miko, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. These kids, you know, look up to people like you, and to see somebody like you here at the Little Haiti Soccer Park, we couldn't be more proud. So thank you very, very much.
We want to open barriers. We want to give access to the sport. This is why we do what we do, and it's so important that we have partners like Florida Blue that understand that we have to give back to their community, because at the end of the day, the community supports us, we got to support them.
Incredible work that Inter Miami are doing in the community along with Florida Blue. Now, as we move back to MLS League play coming up on Saturday, Inter Miami taking on Philadelphia Union. But let's first look back on the game that Miami played last time out against New England Revolution. It's been 2 weeks since Miami played in the league, and here was the game that they played against the Revs. Miami 3-0 down at this point, but they would eventually get a goal courtesy of a penalty. Bit of a crazy challenge in there from Andrew Farrell catching Leo Campana, and it would be a chance for Josef Martinez to get on the score sheet, and Martinez would send him the wrong way. But as we look forward now to the next match against Philadelphia Union, Inter Miami, of course, taking on a team that are on red-hot form. Let's get Kieran Gibbs' 3 points for this coming Saturday. Kieran, how are Inter Miami going to get the win?
Okay, so the first point this week is going to be to limit Philly's transition. They have a really dangerous front three, and so they like to counter-attack a lot, and I think it's going to be important to stop that. The second point this week is going to be slowing the game down. Slowing the game down at the right moments. You're away from home. Philly have a knack for scoring and then trying to kill the game off quickly. So I think it's going to be important to manage that game tempo. And then the third thing this week is going to be, like I mentioned earlier, bringing that confidence back from international duty. There's a lot of players coming back this week, representing their countries. Proud moment for them, and I hope that they can use that energy and confidence and bring it back into club form to get those all-important 3 points.
And they've been really good in terms of their performances after the Champions League. We're incredibly busy during the first few months of the year, but now that they've been focusing on the league, this is the team that got to MLS Cup final last year. Now, Miami, of course, did beat them at home in the first meeting between these two clubs, so hopefully doing the double against the side that won the conference last year, that would be a fairly remarkable achievement for this Inter Miami side. But that'll do it for us here on the Inter Miami show. Coming up next week, we'll look back on that game against Philadelphia, and the games come thick and fast, so we'll have plenty to preview and look ahead to for Inter Miami, as we want to thank our tremendous production team. We want to thank Kieran Gibbs, and that'll do it for us here on the Inter Miami show. We'll talk to you next week.